Right, thank you so much for joining us for yet another exciting edition, and of course hoping that it will be as inspirational as the others. It is Meet the CEO. Of course, it's time for us to be able to engage in a very up-close and personal conversation with our CEO today, and of course he's none other than Mr. Toroitich, who is heading KCB in Rwanda. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Toroitich. It's important to also understand, just as we always do on the program, aimed at understanding and knowing better the leaders, the top management of this top institution. You manage in Rwanda a very big institution that is, available across the Eastern and Central Africa, KCB. Tell me about your job, day-to-day activity. How does it start? How does it end?
Very interesting question. I don't believe that it is a job that comes with a particular order, in terms of what you do from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. But suffice to say that it is very engaging. Typically arriving, in the office latest usually by 7:30 in the morning, and pretty much leaving from 6 to 7. But all the time, depending on what is happening in the course of the day, it's very fluid in terms of how that timing goes. But yes, I mean and of course, it's about engaging with customers, with staff, with other stakeholders who are not necessarily internal. Always seeking to address issues and concerns they may have. But again, also looking for opportunities to do business for the bank.
Business, right? So you say latest 7:30, meaning what time do you rise up, for example?
Typically by 5, I will be up, and obviously, up in the morning to, get myself ready. But on occasion, to do some physical exercise before getting to work in the morning.
What does your exercise involve? I mean, is it just jumping a rope, press-ups,
no,
push-ups, running?
So I get up and do running on the road, in the morning. I like to do that. I'm not as disciplined and regular with it, but yes, I like to do that, quite often.
What's the importance of this in your day-to-day activities?
That's to keep my energy up, to manage my stress, and to really keep my adrenaline flowing, as my day starts.
Right. Yeah. Let's go back memory lane to the Toroitich child, the baby Toroitich. I mean, how you grew up, the family, the setup, and to where you are today. Could you just take us through the picture of how things were when you're still young?
Look, I had a very humble upbringing, if I may say so. My parents, my dad was a primary school teacher. My mom, never really had a formal job, so let's say she was a housewife, and grew up in the farm, right in the village. My home is way back in Iten, if you've ever heard of Iten. So I grew up in a village, typical village boy. Went to school in the village. And slowly began to find my way to high school. I went to school, brought up by the missionaries of St. Patrick, and went to school in Mount of Apostles Seminary in Eldoret. And I think that was the beginning of the person that is me today. Obviously, supported by very inspirational teachers, who really helped to develop the person that I am, and pushed me beyond what I thought, I was at that time, I guess, because of the potential they must have seen in me. And I've never looked backwards, at that time, yeah.
And during your childhood, most of us, when we ask our children of today, we always hear them saying, I want to be a pilot when I grow up. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. During those days, is this what you wanted? Manage a bank, manage an institution that you manage today? Is that what you wanted to do?
I don't necessarily think that I thought about myself managing a bank or managing an institution such as what I am doing today. But I think I had very big ambitions in terms of what I wanted to be as a person, in terms of being able to add value, not just to myself, but to my siblings, to my parents, and to the community that brought me up. and quite frankly, as I grew up, I think I wanted to be an architect, simply because I loved drawing. Yeah, so I think I grew up building things, and I loved art, and I sort of thought to myself, perhaps, I was destined to become, an architect, but life was to be that wasn't really what I ended up to be, and found myself, studying mathematics and economics and business generally from high school, and that's where my interest in management, came in.
Right. Yeah. And so as you grew up, let's talk about the responsibility of your siblings and your parents in molding you, in shaping you, the experience. Most of us have, as you said, you're from a humble family, grew up in a farm environment, and what were those things, those experiences you look back today, when you're able to afford what you want to eat, what you want to wear today, and you manage a big number of staff members? What are those things you look back about your childhood that some people don't even know about, that you went through, that you say, were it not for this experience, I would not be the Toroitich I am today?
I think to be honest, my mother played a very big role in a very profound way in terms of getting me to become the responsible person that I am today. I think one of the things that he always encouraged us, and we were only 3 in my family, boys, we didn't have girls, is that you never wait for anyone to get you to have what you want. So if you felt that you needed to do something, you get up yourself and do it. And I think that taught me a lot of things. It taught me initiative. It taught me to plan for tomorrow. It taught me to simplify, my life tomorrow by doing some things today. Yeah. It taught me to prepare my breakfast in the morning, or to prepare my lunch, in the morning, so that when I arrive, at lunchtime, I don't have to spend time redoing it. And those small little things, helped me to become, the person that I am. But I think, let's put it like this, I'm coming from a peasant family, certainly, raising school fees was a very big thing. So I think half of my school life, especially in high school, was actually funded through, village harambes, if you like it. People from the neighborhood, coming to contribute to raise school fees, and to me, it was a thing that, my parents could have really, been able to do, and they were very determined to make sure that I make that progress. So there's a lot of sacrifices made, in terms of, their own provisions to be able to keep some money away for us, not just me, for us in the family to be able to go to school. And I guess, out of that, and the progress that we began to make in school, a lot of people, felt that it was necessary that they stay by, to actually see us go through our secondary school education, so to speak. So yeah, that's how it was. So you can imagine then, raising school fees was difficult. Therefore, the ordinary, luxuries of a child, we never really had them. We're never there because, it was about school, finding money for books, finding money for fees, and finding money for the basic necessities that you needed. So, many times I knew that, if I was able to raise my school fees, then I really didn't have to ask anyone for any pocket money, and I would literally live on the school ration from the beginning of the term to the end of the term, and that was it. So that's and that, instead of, to me, I think I must thank God that I was able to actually see that as a momentary, challenge that I should go over, and that really, as I grew up, pushed me, to the world to really work harder and come out of these,
I know our viewers are also watching and saying, but maybe those even who know you better than I do, or stuff, are saying, Toroitich, why are you making it look like you are that good boy all the time, everywhere, all the time? I'm sure you must have had your cheeky moments, every growing up teenager has those cheeky moments. What were those moments that you can remember? You sit back and you laugh, in front of the mirror, if you think of them and remember them.
I think, one of those things, and I guess sometimes people might look at me and say, but what is behind this person? I think one of my cheeky moments, if I call it, was in high school. Yes. I suppose because 98% of the time I was a good boy. Yes. So, there were moments that, of course, to conform with everything that, the rest of my classmates, wanted to do, in the seminary. I remember once, participating in, not a strike really, just a cheeky, decision by the class. No, not a protest really, a cheeky decision by the class to see whether we would get away by staying in class and not going to pray the rosary in the evening. Mm-hmm. And we all sat in, quietly, and of course we were found out. But, when punishment was meted out, the priest in charge didn't believe that I was not in that class. So I wasn't punished, but the rest of the class was punished. But actually, I felt bad about it because I was part of it, but I got away with it.
How did your friends take that? I mean, they must have felt like you were just a sellout, and why did they get punished and you did not?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I had to manage that, within my classroom. Yeah. But I think they took it in good stride. I mean, it was just one of those cheeky, actions by class. Yes.
How do you juggle between family and work? Because you run an institution which you need to be there to make certain decisions. Of course, even if you have a team behind you, but you carry the responsibility of whatever actions that are taken. How do you juggle that? How do you manage that?
For me, I think the important thing is really getting the family support in that process, because it is never an easy thing to have what people call work-life balance, because I suppose if you were to really do that, something will give way somewhere. So it's about family support, from my spouse, from the kids, and getting them involved, not in doing the job, but actually in understanding, what is going on, at every the picture of what is happening, what my work entails, what it is that I'm going through at this moment in time, and what it is going to mean in terms of my presence, in their lives. But of course, when I have my moment, I spend my moment with them. Okay, so I will look for those moments that, really will give me the opportunity to spend, quality time, with them whenever, I have that.
This is the mistake that most of those in workplaces make, not involving their family members in their work experience and whatever it entails. And it is that makes them now don't understand why is he out away all the time.
I think it's a very valid point, because, I don't suppose that any family for one moment will ignore the fact that a member of the family has to do some things, but I think when they are not in the picture of why it is that they have to do that, then it creates a lot of unhappiness. So I think it's that ability to understand what you're going through and share with you in the joys, the joyful times and the hard times as well. And to me, I think that's very important to keep them, on board. Yeah.
Right, we're going to take a very short break, but of course, when we come back, we touch on the issues concerning the banking sector, the ups and downs, and of course, your take on those issues when we return. Stay with us. This is Meet the CEO. We're coming back in a very short while. Keep talking to us. Would love to hear your views. Just use the addresses that are scrolling on your screen right now. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.